Is Russia's plan in Syria more than fighting ISIS? Bloomberg is now reporting that the Russians admit their real goal in Syria is to help Syrian President Bashar Assad against U.S.-backed rebels. Illinois Congressman and Air Force veteran Adam Kinzinger goes on the record. Good evening, sir.
Hey, good evening.
I suppose it's not a big surprise.
No,
other than that they admit it.
It's like saying water's wet. You know, look, when I heard that the Russians were going to Syria, I actually gave a speech on the floor of the House, and I just said, look, there's no doubt they're not there about ISIS. They're there to prop up Bashar al-Assad. This is their puppet in the Middle East. They need this to get their foot back into the Middle East. And frankly, they haven't had a role there since the 70s, and now they're finding themselves as one of the great powers in the Middle East. So it's quite obvious what they're doing.
Play this out for me. Suppose that we don't do anything. I mean, suppose that we just sit and watch.
Yeah.
What's it going to look like in 5 years?
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, I don't know what the Syrian conflict's going to end up looking like, but what I will tell you will happen is that Iran will have a presence in Syria, as they already do now. In fact, somebody I met with on the border, Commander Ishmael, was killed just 2 days ago by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, backed up by Russian air power. This is happening.
All right, we're talking about Russian air power. The U.S. and Russia have this new agreement over the skies over Syria. Yeah. We're fighting each other with this. We're on the rebel side, and they're on the Assad side. Yet now we have an agreement to share the skies.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely a joke. I actually think here's what I think is the best.
You're a pilot too.
Yeah, I think the best deconfliction between the Russians and the Americans is to tell the Russians, get the hell out of Syria. That's what you have to do. And but, you know, instead we're saying, well, we don't believe in what you're doing. You're bombing the very people that we have trained and equipped, the actual moderates that simply want to free Syria. But, you know, if you're going to do it, we'll go ahead and get an agreement with you here to make sure that we don't get our planes near each other. It's ludicrous. I
don't even understand. I mean, it's to me, it's so bizarre that we're sort of divvying up the war game. It's like, okay, you take the red pieces, yeah, we'll take the blue pieces. It's like a Parcheesi game or something when we divide up the skies when we're fighting on different sides.
You know, it's amazing. I'm actually reading Dick Cheney's book about the strong America and the difference when he talks about, you know, how Ronald Reagan was in the Cold War and, you know, went to negotiate with Gorbachev and still walked away over SDI. You see what real strength is. What you see in President Obama is a very left-wing philosophy of if we smile, if we shake hands, if we become buddies, we're all going to get along. And
where does that lead us, though?
It leads us to what we've seen, to utter chaos. We see a Middle East that is utterly chaotic right now.
Can
we
it be reversed?
Syria. You know, I think yes, but it's going to take strong American leadership, and that American leadership will probably be the next president of the United States, hopefully a Republican. But it's going to be a long process because every day that goes by, more innocent people are killed, either by the Russians or by Assad or by ISIS. Innocent people are killed.
Or our mistakes.
Or our mistakes. But you create more and more enemies, more and more anger, and it just it spills. It's like a volcano. It spills over into other parts of the Middle East.
You know, we have this discussion about it. It seems like a game, but if you actually go over and meet the people, like in the refugee camps, and you see that this is real stuff.
They're real people, and these are kids that just want to grow up to be doctors, policemen. They want to have a family, and they're being killed.
Congressman, thank you. Nice to see you, sir.